whenever men come together and they work on themselves, and for whatever reason, I mean, like it could be a church group, it could be about sex. That's, I mean, where we start, and we should, it's going to come down to some fundamental core principles that guys are always going to talk about. How can I be healthier? How can I find more purpose in my life? How can I find the right direction for my career? I want to know more about sex and women and interacting with them and relationships of all the different forms. And there's just all this stuff that guys naturally gravitate towards when we come together. And it's so crazy because so much of our world is to separate those things. It's like, we should all, be more aware of women and get in touch with all these sides. But man, there's something very important about being able to be unified as a group of men. And so we had this question that had to do with like depression, your mood, and things being a little bit off. And what can we do to, what do we do with that? I mean, sometimes we can't do anything. And I'll tell you right now, when I'm recording this, we just had a baby. There's a lot of great things that are happening that happens. I mean, we had a baby about 30 hours ago. And I mean, that's an amazing, like, it's unreal. We had it at our home and it's like just totally nuts. But at the same time, my mood's a little bit off. And we just had one of our members talk about how his mood's a little bit off, in whatever it might be. Maybe we're jumping to anger, that's a little bit more with me. But sometimes there could be this like depression or the lack of self-worth or these thoughts that come into play. And one thing that is super important about all of this, and I'm going to give some advice, and it's kind of crazy. A lot of people turn away from it. I think that this is something that I've done. This is something that a lot of people have done, but something that's fundamental to working on yourself and working with those deeper things. There's really nothing to be afraid of because it's you and there's a great power within you, but have a community of people that you can count on and interact with. That's super important. People who have your back. That's what we do here at TSL. It's like a very important key part of it. That's why we have so many calls and so many interactions like this. And also, have something that you can believe in that is bigger than you. Okay. I'm not saying to be religious. You can be, that could be that, but man, it might be nature. It might be biology. It might be science. But have something that you can go, okay, when I don't know what to do, I can count on this. If I get totally fucked up, I know that life goes on. So an element of faith to sit underneath you. In any case, that being said, man, something that so many people don't do and which has been so helpful for me and was painful going through it and painful so many times in doing it is to learn to submit to the pain. And man, if you think that like perhaps you're never going to be happy, you're never going to be good with women, you're never going to be sexually fulfilled, you're always going to be angry, you're always going to be a womanizer, you're always going to be a drug addict, like any of these things, right? Man, what I did and what I've done multiple times with many of these different concepts that I've had about myself is submit to them. What happens? What happens if I am the worst? What happens if I'm never first, if I'm always second? What happens if the biggest fear in my life actually takes over? And I'm not just telling you to think about that or conceptualize it. I want you to write about it, to really think like, what happens if it is impossible for me to have a happy relationship? And this is actually something that I did. I went through I had a 5-year relationship with somebody. We did everything that you could imagine, swinging, polyamory, whatever the fuck, we were monogamous at times. And when I got out of that, I did what every professional pickup artist does, is I had a lot of sex. I had a lot of relationships. I was good at falling in love, good at getting love and all these different things. But at a certain point, it was like, man, this isn't making me happy. This isn't good. My relationships are turning out bad. And my friend told me, so like, man, if you really want to move into an ideal expression of you, and we had mapped that out, we had kind of talked about it. He's like, you have to be willing to fail at that. You have to, it may never work. You may never get that, but in the pursuit of that, in the pursuit of putting what you believe could be great about you, that ideal, those things about you, in the pursuit of that, if you're unwilling to fail over and over again at that, if you're unwilling to be embarrassed, a few times or 6 months, or if you're unwilling to have like 4 shitty relationships or maybe 5 or 6 just to have that good one, then you don't deserve it. You're not even honoring yourself. You're not even being who you are. You're running around and dancing, trying to be something else just so you don't have that wall of, perhaps the reality or the fear that you're running from. Man, so many guys, it's like, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be good enough. I'm too fat. I'm too fucked up. I'm incapable of being happy. What really happens? What would happen if that was the case? Like me, I'm on edge. I got some anger going through me right now. Hopefully it's processing out or whatever. But yeah, what if I'm angry for the rest of my life? What if I can't manage? What if mentally at 8 p.m. every night, because that's what's been happening in the past couple nights, like I get a mood swing where I just can't function. I can't deal with people and I'm sharp about it. What happens? Let's really write about that. How would my life be? What would have to change? What are some things that I might have to submit to? And, what are the things that are making me happy? And what would happen if I did them? Would people not like me? Would I be unaccepted by folks? Would I have less pleasure? Would I have to, seriously change stuff? Another time when this happened, it was like, well, what happens if I use women? That's all I'm good for. Like, I'm just going to blow through this and, I not make anything work. And I'm always going to choose the wrong thing in a relationship to make matters worse and cause more pain and confusion. And start embracing that. Now, by embracing that, I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to be mentally well. I'm not saying I'm just going to go fuck everybody over. But what happens if I have that in my mind? It's like, oh, wait, when I do things, I fuck people over. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm not going to get mad about it. I'm not going to, try and lie to myself about it. I'm not going to try and lie to other people about it. I'm not going to self-deprecate either. I'm just going to say, hey, man, I got to be cautious when I'm in relationships. Or I got to say like, hey, it might be in my best interest to not tell you the depth of my fucked upness. Let's go out and whatever. And when it goes south, I'm going to go, oh, there it happened again. Okay. And that sounds like a really irresponsible thing to do. But I'll tell you this, man, that caused the biggest amount of change in my life. Hands down, always. Now, check this out. Bring it into the coaching world. Bring it into how I interact with other people, what I teach and tell people. I'll tell you this, man, the people that have the biggest inner game issues all across the map, I mean, it could be so many different things, but the people that run the hardest as clients, the people that might get the greatest results, but the least amount of change. So you get everything you want, but you're never going to be happy, are the exact people that run and have extreme terror from this. Man, this is about honoring yourself. There's no point in having a social life. There's no point in having a sexual life. And there's no point in waking up in the morning if you are not willing to put it on the line for what you believe in and what you can be with the power that is within you. And man, there is a beauty. There is an undeniable social connection that cannot be repeated by anybody else when you put yourself in front of somebody. The same with sex, the same with your lifestyle, and the same with every single expression that you have. But if you want to dull that, if you want to encase that with somebody else's story or a quick fix or just taking away from the pain, then you will never know pleasure. You will never know pursuit. You will never know expression. And the only way to truly honor yourself is fuck, man. What happens if the absolute worst comes true? If this is a thing for you, man, surround yourself with some good people, be able to talk about it. Find something that you can believe in that, man, when shit goes down, because that can happen. That's what's happened to me many times when shit gets kind of rocked. What do I go back to? I go back to nature. I go back to the truth. I go back to, actually for me, it's like nature, science, biology, the truths that we see in that. That's my God that I look at and explore it. What happens if the thing that I'm feared most becomes my reality? Live it, put it on paper, acknowledge it. How would you act? How would you live with that? And what would you do? And accept your fucking self for it. Because when that happens, it transforms. I can't tell you what it's going to transform to, but it will not stay the same. Anyway, that's the commitment and the challenge that I'd put out to you to live a better life. If you want to take it, take it. And if you don't, man, I hope you find something else that works, but come by and show it to me because I've never seen it that actually happen. Stop running from your fears. Be yourself, accept yourself, and that's the road to love.